If you found this story, it's not by accident. Maybe your heart has been searching for answers. Maybe your soul is simply tired, or maybe you just want to hear something warm before you sleep. Here, in the world of Mystic Cat Tarot, stories aren't told by people, but by cats. They see deeper. They carry quiet magic, and tonight you'll hear one of their tales. This is a story about choice, about presence. About the courage to be who you truly are. If you're ready, get comfortable, take a deep breath, and allow yourself for just a little while to return to a place where you still believe and wonder. The story of Magus begins. Part 1. I am a young cat. I am young, filled with energy that crackles inside me like little flashes of lightning. Everything that moves immediately catches my eye. I'm learning the world with my paws, my ears, my heart. I live in an apartment where there are no trees, no real mice or birds. Sometimes it feels like it's not truly my world, but my humans play with me. They toss me a plush mouse, a rubber snake. I know it's a game, and still, I pounce on my prey. I leap forward like a real hunter. I play the role, and I like it. I know they're watching me. I love attention. I love when someone admires me. When I catch the toy just right, they reward me a little piece of chicken or salmon. They let me sleep beside them. It's like a ritual. Action gives reward, but deep inside, I feel it. I am not just a cat for amusement. There's more to me. In my blood. Speed. Still like muscles. Grace. But above all, focus. I can concentrate so fully that everything else fades away. The world narrows to a single movement, a single touch, a single intention. That is my strength. My magic. Long before I even knew it had a name. I curl up, paws tucked under me, but my mind stirs with restlessness. I am still young, yet I already feel a choice lies ahead. To be an ordinary cat. To become plump and lazy. To live in comfort, but without freedom. Or something else. Something unknown. I don't yet know what it is, but I feel it. The world is bigger than these apartment walls. I could run away and become a street cat, a warrior, a rogue. Or become someone else, a creator, a magician. Once I heard my human reading aloud. A magician is one who channels the power of the world through the heart. That phrase stayed with me like a tiny bone of fish. I savored it for a long time. Could I become that? Not yet, but one day, perhaps. For now, I observe, I train my body, I play, I study attention, and I listen to the silence, because something out there, beyond the window, beyond the walls, is already waiting for me. Part 2. The Dream of Magus. First call to magic. That night, I didn't fall asleep from tiredness, but from an invisible whisper in the air. The moon hung high above. Its light poured across the floor like a clear river, wrapping around me in a soft, glowing veil. I lay there, my tail curled around my paws, and felt that something unusual was about to happen. I fell asleep, and it was as if I stepped into another world. Before me stretched a garden, but not an ordinary one. The grasses glowed, the trees sang without words, and the air pulsed with light. At the center was a circle of stones. Carved into them were symbols: a pentacle, a cup, a sword, a wand. And the center of the circle sat a cat. Old. Silver. White. His fur shimmered like stars, his eyes deep, golden with the gleam of timeless knowledge. He said nothing, but I could hear his thoughts like the wind brushing softly past my ears. Magus, he said, and I knew that name was mine. Maybe not yet, but one day it would be. You feel the world. You see more than it seems. And now you stand at the threshold. If you take the step, there's no turning back. I wanted to ask, what path is this? But the words wouldn't come. Only breath, only gaze. And The feeling I want more. Nodded, just once, gently. True magic is not in bending the world to your will, Dot. It is in learning to listen and to act in harmony with it. His paw touched one of the symbols, the cup. Suddenly, I felt something awaken in my chest, warm. Like the first day of spring, Dot, it was empathy, Dot, the feeling of another. A heart open not just to itself. Then the wand, and I saw, in my mind, a flame that didn't burn but inspired. That was Will Dot next. The sword. Its blade didn't cut flesh. It sliced through the darkness of thought, Dot. That was clarity, Dot. And at last, the PENTACLE, Dot, the earth beneath me. Dot, the reality that holds and supports, Dot. That was trust in life. I stood. Spellbound, Dot. I wanted to stay there forever. Dot, to remain beside this cat. Dot, to learn, Dot, to remember every symbol, every breath. But then the wind shifted. The garden began to dissolve into mist, and a voice whispered, "Awaken. Megas, Dot, the day will come, and you will remember everything." Part 3. Signs of awakening. I woke slowly, as if rising from the depths of a warm dream into the cold silence of reality. But the world was no longer the same. A beam of light stretched across the floor. But now, it seemed alive. I didn't just see brightness. I saw a path. I noticed every speck of dust, how it turned, flickered, danced, disappeared. I had never seen anything like it before, Dot, as I walked through the apartment. My paws seemed to know where to go on their own. I didn't run, didn't play, didn't ask for food. I listened, Dot, and in that listening, I heard for the first time how silence breathes. Outside the window, clouds rolled slowly in the sky. I watched them, and my heart tightened with a quiet feeling. Something was coming. Still couldn't call it magic, but it was more than chasing a plush mouse. Then something happened. A bird sat on the balcony, just beyond the glass, Dot, small, dark, Dot, shaking rain from its feathers, Dot. It wasn't afraid, Dot. It just sat and looked at me, Dot. We stared into each other's eyes for a long time. I had never felt a connection like that. "You were seeing again," said a voice in my memory, the voice from the dream, and I understood. This bird wasn't a prophecy or a mystery, Dot. It was a sign, a quiet sign. I was ready to see deeper. That evening, I sat by the window for a long time, asking for nothing, Dot. No one disturbed me. I was alone with myself, and for the first time, I was at peace in the silence. And then, in the air, I felt something again, familiar, like the touch of a paw in a dream, Dot, the echo of the stone circle, Dot, the symbols, Dot, the old cat. I didn't know how to find him, but I felt I didn't need to. What I needed was to prepare. That's how. My path began, Dot, the journey of learning without a teacher. Part 4. The elements. I began to see the world through new sensations, Dot, and one day, I felt as if I could hear them. The voices of the elements. Not loud, barely there, like the breath of grass or a whisper in the ear before sleep. But they were there, and I understood to become a magician. I had to know them all. Earth, the first I felt was earth, but not real soil. There was none in the apartment, Dot. It was the floor beneath my paws. Warm, steady. When I pressed my belly to it and closed my eyes, I could feel its heartbeat, Dot, slow, steady. Earth doesn't call, Dot. It holds, Dot. It reminds you. You have roots. You have the right to be here, Dot. In those days, I often just lay there, doing nothing, and it was then that understanding would come. Earth is your inner stillness, whispered the familiar voice. It is the ability to stand firm when everything around you shifts. Water. Then came water, Dot, one morning. I watched as my human poured himself some tea, Dot, and in the cup, I saw how water flowed, how it took the shape of its vessel, slipped around obstacles, and vanished into steam. And I realized water is not just a liquid, Dot. It is emotion. I watched how people's moods changed, how their gaze clouded or brightened dot, and within me too. Waves would rise, joy, anxiety, awe. I didn't run from them. I let them be. Water is not afraid to be soft, said the voice. Inside me, but it can carve through stone. Fire, the third element, appeared suddenly. I was sitting on the windowsill, watching the sunset. Its rays burned like flames, not hot, but a live dot, and then I felt the fire within me, dot. It was my intention, dot, my desire, dot, my I want. It didn't burn to destroy, it burned to create. When I leapt, when I chased, when I learned, it was my inner fire that burned in my body, in my heart, in my eyes. Fire is your determination. The voice whispered, not to conquer others, but to stay true to yourself. Aaron finally came air. I didn't notice it right away, dot, it was everywhere. In the flutter of curtains, in the rustle of the room, in every breath. But more than anything, it lived in thought. When I sat quietly, observing, thinking, that was the element of air moving through me, dot. Sometimes it brought clarity, sometimes doubt. Air is your wisdom, the voice said within. Sometimes it comes in thought, and sometimes in silence. And so I learned not just to know the elements. I began to feel how they lived within me, and I understood. I am a magician, not because I command the forces, but because I am part of them. Part 5. The first spell I didn't seek a moment to cast. Magic. I didn't plan a performance. I was simply living, and the elements quietly lived within me, dot, until one day she came, dot, small, dot, fluffy, dot, as young as I once was, maybe even a little younger. Her fur was rumpled, her paws trembling, eyes wide and filled with fear. Her name was Lumen. Didn't ask where she came from. She had been carried here like a seed. On the wind, dot, she simply sat across from me, never breaking eye contact. Are you a real magician? She asked in a whisper. I didn't answer right away, because how do you answer something like that? I wore no cloak. I had no wand, dot, no lightning flashed from my whiskers, but inside me, there was something I had never felt before, a readiness to share. Do you want to become one? I asked instead. She lowered her head. I can't. Nothing works. Even thinking hurts. I'm afraid of everything. I remembered how I had once been afraid too, how I didn't understand what was happening. Inside me, dot, how everything churned, and I had no words to explain it, dot, so I did what I could. I breathed.